皆さん、こんにちは。
Good afternoon. I'd like to now begin the pre-event towards our ocean conference in Palau, updates and perspectives. This is delivered to you by way of YouTube live streaming. Thank you for your interest. And also, we have started new trial that is to distribute the subtitles and the video that is distributed to you. Please access the link that is shown on the screen. From 13th of April, our ocean conference is going to take place in the Republic of Palau, and therefore we have a pleasure and honor of having His Excellency President Selangor Whips of the Republic of Palau, as well as the minister and officials of the government of Palau to give us the latest information about the conference. Now, at the outset, I'd like to invite Mr. Tsunami to deliver the opening remarks.
Good evening to you all. Excellencies, distinguished participants, dear colleagues and friends. I would like to warmly welcome you all to the online pre-event towards Our Ocean Conference in Palau, Updates and Perspectives. I'm Atsushi Tsunami, President of Sasana Peace Foundation. We are very honored and pleased to co-organize this event with the government of the Republic of Palau with the support of the Nippon Foundation. This event is organized in a timely manner a month ahead of the forthcoming Our Ocean Conference that the government of Palau will host in its beautiful island country from 13th to 14th April 2022. Today, we are very privileged to have the presence of His Excellency Selangor Whips, Junior President, Republic of Palau, who has been demonstrating leadership in advancing this preparation for Our Ocean Conference. We are also honored to have the presence of His Excellency Stephen Victor, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Environment, Republic of Palau, who has been spearheading the program development and overall coordination of Our Ocean Conference and its related events. Our Ocean Conference in Palau this year will be the 7th in a series. After the several postponements, I am very pleased that we will finally have a chance to travel and return to Palau for Our Ocean Conference to discuss priority policy issues toward achieving a sustainable ocean economy. The Sasaka Peace Foundation, particularly the Ocean Policy Research Institute and the Nippon Foundation, has been supporting the government of Palau and partners and stakeholders in preparing for Our Ocean Conference over the past years. I'd like to reiterate my appreciation to President Whips for his partnership with us and pay a tribute for his leadership. I'd like to assure you, Mr. President, our continuous support for the success of Our Ocean Conference together with our partners who have joined in supporting Palau in preparing for Our Ocean Conference. Today, we'll listen to President Whips and Minister Victor for their perspectives to the forthcoming Our Ocean Conference, particularly in the light that this will be the first to be hosted by a Pacific Island country, a small island and big ocean state. The ocean faces increasing and multifaceted threats such as seawater warming, fishery resource depletion, marine biodiversity loss, marine plastics, and pollution. A single country is not able to resolve such a challenge. Concerted actions are needed at the global scale to resolve problems and overcome challenges. We must pay attention to particular needs and conditions of Pacific Island countries in this respect. The pandemic has changed the paradigm, particularly the island countries that relied on tourism as an important economic sector. To facilitate the recovery from socio-economic damages inflicted by the pandemic, Pacific Island countries need to promote the conservation and sustainable use of marine resources through relevant conservation and blue economy policies, capacity development policy, and institutional transformation, innovation, finance, science and technology, social collaboration, and international partnership are enabling factors for marine conservation and blue economy. Regional cooperation is particularly vital as the ocean connects the countries in the region, and we must work together to safeguard our ocean and marine resources for us and our future generations. We consider our ocean conference in Palau as an important milestone to forge our regional cooperation and instigate our regional and global concerted actions toward promoting the conservation and sustainable use of the ocean and marine resources, and reinforcing priority actions targeted to support small island countries, particularly in the Pacific. At our ocean conference, we'll promote multi-stakeholder policy dialogues to address cross-sectoral issues from interdisciplinary perspectives in the context of achieving a sustainable ocean. For that purpose, we must articulate and register our new commitments of actions for a sustainable ocean with tangible targets, indicators, and milestones to advance concrete actions and make achievement that will be noted, monitored, measured, and reported and verified. I'm also encouraged by the important attached by the government of Palau to the engagement of youth groups in our ocean conference. Youth groups have been making useful contributions to policy dialogues and decision-making, particularly in global environmental issues. Such a youth platform needs to be sustained and strengthened to share the compassion and inspiration of youth more widely. The year 2022 is said to be a super year for the ocean. We must build upon a momentum forged from our Ocean Summit in Brest to our Ocean Conference in Palau and the second UN Ocean Conference in Lisbon and beyond. Last week at the UN Environment Assembly, a decision was adopted to establish an intergovernmental negotiating committee to draft a legally binding agreement by 2024 to accelerate actions to eliminate marine plastic. In this week, the fourth Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee on Marine Biodiversity in the area beyond national jurisdiction is taking place in New York. Agreements are also expected on the target to protect the 30% of the ocean by 2030 and the removal of harmful fisheries subsidies, to name a few. So many important decisions need to be adopted to conserve and sustainably manage our ocean. To achieve a sustainable ocean, we must stop destruction immediately. We must be urgently united to stop damaging the ocean, our global commons, and work together to conserve and sustainably manage our ocean. We must share our wisdom, expertise, and develop a formula by which we can overcome challenges and achieve benefits from our efforts to conserve and sustainably manage our ocean. We must share our wisdom and our collaboration and partnership to achieve our common objectives at our Ocean Conference in Palau. I hope that this event will help recapitulate our tasks and challenges towards the Ocean Conference and invigorate our concerted actions for a sustainable ocean and human well-being at our Ocean Conference in Palau and beyond. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tsunami, for the opening remarks. Now we'd like to move on to keynote addresses and the panel discussion, moderated by Mr. Masanori Kobayashi, Senior Research Fellow of Ocean Policy Research Institute of SPF. Please send your questions and comments by 2:15 through the link at the bottom of the screen. We will ask our speakers to address them as much as the time allows. You can also access today's the material through the link at the bottom of the screen. Now over to you, Mr. Kobayashi.
Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to you all. I join Dr. Toshi Tsunami in welcoming you all to the pre-event for the forthcoming Our Ocean Conference in Palau. I'm Masanori Kobayashi, Senior Research Fellow of the Ocean Policy Research Institute of the Sasakawa Peace Foundation. I'm very pleased to welcome His Excellency President Srangel Whips Jr., the Republic of Palau, and also Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, and Environment, Stephen Victor of the Palau, to join our event. We are also joined by other distinguished speakers who will speak at the subsequent panel. At the outset, I would like to invite His Excellency President Srangel Whips Jr., the Republic of Palau, to give us a keynote statement in connection with the forthcoming Our Ocean Conference. President Whips has assumed the presidency January last year. It's been more than a year now, and he has been steering a national and international policy during this very difficult time due to the pandemic. Nonetheless, he has demonstrated strong leadership in advancing the preparation for the Our Ocean Conference and promoting partnership. May I invite President Whips to take a floor.
Ali, and warm greetings. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Palau is extremely honored and excited to be hosting the Our Oceans Conference in Palau on April 13th and 14th. It'll be the first time for a SIDS country to be hosting this important conference. And it'll be an opportunity for us to really highlight the role Pacific Islanders have as stewards of the oceans. Over the past years, we have taken great responsibility in the management and protection of our ocean. Large ocean initiatives have originated from the Pacific, in particular PIPA and the Kiribati Islands and the PNMS in Palau. We understand the great challenges that we have and the responsibility that we all have, especially in the area of climate change. The Pacific Islands have been at the forefront of the climate change impacts. We have been hit by storms, sea level rise, droughts, you name it, we have it. And now all of those lead to huge economic losses. In fact, it even affects our tourism industry because it destroys our coral reefs, kills our jellyfish, and we're concerned about the impacts that it will have to the tuna stocks. Climate change has no boundaries, and it can impact all of us. You know, the bigger impact that we're facing with is what happens when we lose our islands that are a mere 1 meter above the high water mark. How will that impact our maritime boundaries? How will that future look? There is growing recognition of the role of the ocean in mitigating the impacts of climate change, particularly in absorbing greenhouse gas emissions. However, the role of the ocean can be compromised by continuing the continued increase of the GHGs. As Pacific stewards, we need to continue to be a strong voice, calling for limiting large countries from emitting those gases and to reduce their GHGs. We must work together to limit the temperature rise to below 1.5. We must stop the use of coal together. You know, in looking at the oceans, we can't just stop with climate change. We have to look at how it affects our economy, especially our blue economy. And hopefully at the conference, we can further discuss these issues. But for Palau, we've been focusing on how to build back our blue economy post-pandemic stronger and better. One of the areas that we so depend on is tourism. And we must focus on developing high value, low impact tourism. We must increase local capacity in producing our own food, not only for our economy, but also for our food security. Our ministry has launched a Palauan term, which is our food is our responsibility. And that includes from the land to the sea. We also have been looking at how to decarbonize our energy production. Because as we know, we depend on, many islands depend on diesel generators and carbon emitting sources of energy. Palau has launched a program to transition to 20% solar by 2024 and hope to be 100% renewable by 2040. But we can't do that alone. We need the technology, the support to make that happen. When it comes to expanding or diversifying our economy, we're looking into the broadband internet connectivity as an important element in doing that, in opening up digitization and technological innovations that can offer new areas to develop our economy, to take pressure off our reefs and our fish resources. But at the same time, we know that we must manage and protect our resources better. And so sustainable fisheries are a core component of that. We know that all Pacific countries, a major component of their livelihoods is the sea and is the ocean. And so is the food security that comes with it. We need to move towards a more balanced, sustainable fisheries where conservation and environmental protection, along with people's livelihoods, are equally balanced. And we recognize the important role that science has in this, in making sure that we conduct proper marine spatial planning so that we can make informed decisions and develop policies that are sound, that ensure the balance between environmental protection and sustainable fisheries, so that we don't lose the impact that the revenues that we get, but yet we're able to make sure that they support our economies, and then there's a balance that we're manage and keep the fishing sustainable and not deplete the resources that we have. There must be an inclusive and equitable sharing of the benefits that are derived from the fishery to help support food security, livelihoods, and economic prosperity. We recognize that our fisheries are worth more than what we've been getting as a revenue. And we need to continue to work towards business models and approaches that can ensure that we get our fair share of the revenue from the fisheries resources that we own and that we manage. In closing, I'd like to recognize the importance of regional and sub-regional partnerships as we move the collective agenda, our collective agenda forward. Together as the Pacific, we can work collaboratively to ensure the safety, to ensure a safe and healthy Pacific Ocean that supports our Pacific people. We need to work toward building resilient economies that balance environmental protection and sustainable development that benefit our people. A recent SPC report shows that as a collective Pacific, we manage our fisheries in a way that shows our tuna stocks are still in good conditions. And therefore, capturing the lessons from our regional cooperation on fisheries management, we can help address environmental protection, but at the same time, support our Pacific livelihoods, cultures, and economies. We look forward to developing further partnership as a Pacific, and we should advance together, and we hope that the impact we share impacts not only Palau, but also the Pacific and the world. We want to take this opportunity and thank the Sasakawa Foundation for the strong partnership. And we hope that when you all come to Palau, we can further discuss and show what we've accomplished, and together chart a new path and a better path forward for our Pacific countries and the world. Thank you, and hope to see you all soon in Palau.
Thank you very much, President Srangaro Whips Jr., for giving us a very strong words and commitments to ensure success of our ocean conference and the importance of our concerted actions toward the sustainable ocean. I really thank you for underlining the linkages between climate and ocean. To save the oceans, we have to mitigate climate change. That is very important for the island countries. We also see the importance you attach to the balancing between environment conservation and sustainable fisheries. Blue economy, blue recoveries are utmost importance for the Pacific Island countries in particular. We indeed hope to have vibrant and substantive discussions on the ways and measures for promoting blue economies and blue recovery. I really thank President Whips for your statement and the keynote address. May I now turn to His Excellency Stephen Victor, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Environment, Republic of Palau, who has been actually taking a lead in coordinating the programs for our ocean conference and giving a guidance and the directions to the conference organizations and program development. May I invite Minister Victor to supplement maybe the President's remarks in connection with priority issues foreseen for the forthcoming our ocean conference. Minister Victor, may I invite you to take a floor.
Thank you, Masanori, and good afternoon, everyone in the Pacific, and good morning to those joining from the US and elsewhere. First, let me thank the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, the Nippon Foundation, and the Ocean Policy Research Institute for its support to Palau on strengthening its maritime security to address security issues, as well as address IUU fishing around Palau and across the Pacific, and particularly Nippon Foundation and Sasakawa Peace Foundation and the OPRI support to Palau in organizing and hosting our ocean conference, which began 2018 up until today. And also, I want to thank the United States, and I see Quinn from the U.S. State Department joining the call. And the U.S. State Department has been a great partner in helping Palau during the last several months in organizing and ensuring that we successfully implement our ocean conference in 2022. We thank everyone's patience as the conference has been postponed a couple of times, and with COVID easing up, we're confident that we will hold a conference in person on April 13 and 14 of this year. As President Whips has mentions Palau's priorities on ocean, we take this ocean conference as an opportunity to continue to engage the global community in looking at ocean issues. Palau, for its part, has taken a big leadership role within small island developing state in calling for more action on the oceans and really valuing and developing a partnership to address these issues, as we recognize that a small island developing state, we cannot tackle these issues alone. And we call our ocean conference for a reason, that it is a collective responsibility of the global community to address these issues. And as Palau alone, our impact will not solve the problem, but the leadership that Palau can provide in rallying the Pacific, as well as rallying the global community to prioritize actions on ocean, we believe will further help continue to raise that voice and the momentum that we all have put in prioritizing the nexus on ocean and biodiversity. And so we're at a crossroad here in Palau in really looking at recovery from the pandemic and reevaluating our ocean policies that ensures that we find a balance between large-scale ocean conservation and sustainable developments that support small island developing states. And we hope that Palau's leadership on ocean can be that leadership that also support and really evaluating what is a blue economy for a small island developing states like Palau that can be developed and can be scaled across to our neighboring Pacific island as a basis for developing a resilient blue economy. We know our economies have been tested through several global shocks, and we are working toward ensuring that our economy are resilient, that can support us in adapting to impact of climate change, and thereby continuing to build our resilience as Pacific Island and as people and as communities. And so those are what I see as key priorities that Palau hope to continue to advance at our ocean conference. And we look forward to hosting many of you and in Palau, and to showcase some of the work that we've done on the ground and the lessons that we've learned. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Stephen Victor, for your reference to the priority issues that you foresee for the forthcoming Ocean Conference. We see that you attach the importance to the regional and global communities' concerted actions, and we also see the importance you attach to the ocean and the marine biodiversity conservation as well. We have to give emphasis particularly to the blue economies and the resilience development in the small island developing states. And we indeed hope that our Ocean Conference in Palau will help us in addressing the particular needs of the small island developing states in achieving a sustainable ocean, building resilience, and promoting blue economies. I thank you indeed for your remarks. I have now a pleasure to introduce Mr. Masaru Sato, Cabinet Counselor, National Ocean Policy Secretariat, Cabinet Office, the Government of Japan, who will share with us the perspectives towards the forthcoming Our Ocean Conference in Palau. May I invite Mr. Sato to take the floor.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Your Excellency, President of Republic of Palau, Shurangel S. Whips Jr., Honorable Minister Stephen Victor, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I am Sato Masaru, Cabinet Counselor of National Ocean Policy Secretariat of the Japanese government. First of all, I regret to say that the Minister for Ocean Affairs, Ninoyu Satoshi, you kindly extended the invitation to. He was not able to attend this event due to the Parliament currently in session, but I'm honored to participate on his behalf into today's pre-event. First of all, I'd like to express our thanks to the organizers for this opportunity to be briefed about the upcoming Our Ocean Conference. This is very timely as we speed up our preparations internally. So I would like to also express our gratitude on behalf of the government of Japan to the government of Palau in partnership with the US government for their strenuous efforts, continuous efforts to realize this conference as a co-host in the midst of ongoing worldwide fight against COVID-19. Our government believes that this coming 7th Our Ocean Conference will be very important, not only because this conference addresses important ocean-related issues, but also, as Mr. President stated at the outset, this will be hosted for the first time by SIDS country of Palau. Pacific Island nations have important roles to play to realize a rich ocean for future generations, as well as for the present people. While Japan, United States, and like-minded partners like Australia and others, striving to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific vision. Regarding the preparation, we are still at the preparatory stage, so I cannot explain firmly, but our government would like to brief our important partners about a Japanese ocean policy update at the conference, relating what Japan is doing, or what Japan planning to do, and how we can cooperate with our important partners in accordance with the 6 standing thematic areas of our ocean conferences. Climate change, sustainable fisheries, sustainable blue economies, marine protected areas, maritime security, and marine pollution, as I understand, are the 6 thematic areas. In addition to, I understand that the Secretariat is now preparing for the aggregated inputs of commitments for this ocean conference. And our government is also finalizing our proposal, Japanese commitment. And in addition to introducing the Japanese commitment, we'd like to take this opportunity of the 7th Ocean Conference to brief our partners about what we do, our examples of cooperation, because each issue, ocean-related issue, cannot be solved by a sole nation, so a partner alone. So we need a global collaboration, cooperation. So we'd like to introduce to our partners some examples of collaboration, cooperation still underway as related to the themes of this conference, such as cooperation under PALM, Pacific Leaders, Pacific Islands Leaders Meeting. Last summit was held last year via on internet, but as well as other collaboration examples among like-minded partners like Japan, Australia, United States in this region. So we can choose, we are going to choose topic and considering what would be most suitable for the next conference. For example, from our marine-based renewable energy promotion efforts, such as offshore wind power generation, and also zero emission, our efforts to promote zero emission ships, something like that, and also measures against illegal, unregulated, unreported fishing, how we can cope with this important issue, common issue. And other cooperation for ocean-related disaster reduction or prevention, and maritime law enforcement capacity building, as well as marine plastic debris. There's important progress being made globally toward the making an international framework to cope with the marine plastic debris. So already I understood that some of the important focuses of the next conferences from the previous speakers, such as the how to cope with the effectively, how to make a kind of additional contributions to tackle climate change from the ocean perspective, as well as how to strike a balance between ensuring growth, blue economy growth, and also the preserving the environment in the ocean. So we are going to prepare, but by listening to the rest of the today's pre-event, we would like to hear more about if there is any particular agenda or not only of co-hosts, but also other participants' interests. And that will be very helpful. So, and also we'd like to express our sincere appreciation to the invitation extended to our government, especially to our Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. As you may know that the Parliament is in session now, so our plan is to have Japan represented by a high-level senior official, DG level official. He's Deputy Director General for National Ocean Policy Secretariat of our government, Mr. Yoshida Kozo. And as our representative wishes to deliver an official message from Prime Minister, this is our plan. At the VIP sessions, we would like to request the Secretariat's assistance to coordinate the schedule and other necessary logistical support. So that's all for now. But as I said, that we would like to hear more about the planning about the upcoming conference, and if I am, I'm willing to explain the current status of our preparation. Thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sato, Cabinet Counselor, National Ocean Policy Secretariat, Cabinet Office, Government of Japan, for underlining the importance of our ocean conference. And it was very encouraging to hear him stating that the Japanese government is now advancing the national and the international policies to support a sustainable ocean. He mentioned IUU and also the ocean-related disasters and the plastic debris elimination efforts. And we indeed hope to make a further substantive discussions as to how the international communities can tackle such challenges at our ocean conference and beyond. May I now turn to Dr. Gwyn Taraska, advisor to the U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, U.S. Department of State, who will speak on behalf of the, I guess I understand Mr. John Kerry, the U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate. I understand that it's already past midnight, and I thank you indeed to stay up and to stay with us for this event. May I invite now Dr. Gwyn Taraska to take a floor.
Thank you and good afternoon. Thanks to the Institute for hosting this event. It's really wonderful to be here with so many important partners. I'm Gwyn Taraska, Senior Advisor with Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, John Kerry. He regrets that he is not able to be with us this afternoon. He's on travel, but he is delighted to be partnering and co-hosting the 7th Our Ocean, and I'm happy to share some remarks and expectations and priorities on his behalf. From the US perspective, the Our Ocean conferences, since their inception in 2014, have really been unique insofar as they have been focused on action. There's no negotiated outcome, as you know, and no communique. They've really instead honed in on the need for concrete commitments to protect ocean health and ocean security. And they have been remarkably successful with more than 1,400 commitments worth more than 90 billion over the lifetime of the Our Ocean conferences. So there's, I think, a real legacy here for the 7th Our Ocean to build on, and we are expecting that strong trend of commitments to continue into this year. The conference is, of course, focused on the 6 areas of action, including climate, sustainable fisheries, sustainable blue economies, marine protected areas, maritime security, and marine pollution. But we are expecting 2 major cross-cutting themes to really come to the fore this year. And this is something that both Secretary Kerry and President Whips have highlighted at COP26. The first is the importance of ocean-based climate solutions in reducing greenhouse gas pollution and building global climate resilience. These solutions, as we know, can provide up to 1/5 of the emissions reductions that we need to keep the 1.5 degree target within reach. So as we're looking to strengthen climate action on the road from Glasgow to Sharm el-Sheikh, ocean-based solutions certainly have an important role to play. The second cross-cutting area of focus is, of course, the importance of a healthy ocean to small island states and to all communities where the ocean is a primary source of sustenance. We see it as extremely meaningful that this is the first Our Ocean conference to be held in a small island, large ocean state, where participants can really experience firsthand not only the impacts to these communities, but also the leadership of islands in tackling ocean and climate challenges. So we are encouraging countries and private sector, philanthropy, civil society, etc., to come forward with significant new commitments and to please upload these commitments into the conference registry. There's a link on the Our Ocean website. Options for commitments include, and I'll just list a few examples, but they include pledges to increase offshore renewable energy by 2030, for example. They include commitments to advance marine nature-based solutions at home and internationally. They include commitments to join the Port State Measures Agreement to combat illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. They include commitments to conserve or protect 30% of countries' own waters by 2030 to support the global 30 by 30 goal. They include a strong regional collaboration, such as the ones that we're discussing here this afternoon. And they also include commitments that support the transition to clean shipping. The shipping sector would be the 8th largest emitter if you compare the sector to the emissions of countries, and its emissions are only rising. They're just not compatible with the Paris Agreement, so shipping initiatives have a major role in the effort to keep the 1.5 degree target within reach. So just wanted to close by noting that, of course, these two cross-cutting areas of focus are interconnected. Last week's IPCC report again showed that climate change is destabilizing the entire planet, which of course island communities have known all too well. We have to continue accelerating global efforts to limit warming to 1.5 degrees, and we really understand just how critical of a role islands have had in pushing for global ambition. So thank you again, and very much looking forward to seeing you in April.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gwen Taraska, Advisor to U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, U.S. Department of State, for sharing with us your perspectives and also the perspectives of Mr. John Kerry. We also thank you for giving us some narratives on the specific commitments to address the ocean and the climate nexus as ocean-based solutions to climate change and IUU fishing elimination, PSMA, regional cooperation, clean shipping, and we indeed hope that we can have further discussions on these issues as well. May I now invite Mr. Charles Goddard, Chief Editor, Asia Pacific Bureau of The Economist. Economist has been supporting regional and global policy dialogues on sustainable ocean. Economist hosted the Asia Pacific Ocean Summit in December last year, and it also hosted the Global World Ocean Summit early this month. Economist is a very much important partner with us to address these sustainable ocean issues. May I invite now Mr. Charles Goddard to take the floor.
Thank you very much, Masanori, and very happy to be here. President Suranga, Whips, and other distinguished panelists. I just going to make a few points, if I may, and look forward to any discussion there is afterwards. And we just, as Masanori said, we just closed out our own World Ocean Summit, our global summit in early March, and the summit focused on 2030 targets, on achieving those targets, not just the SDG targets, but also, as a number of speakers have also mentioned, the other critical targets around climate change. And as we will soon be sort of looking and discussing targets also around biodiversity and biodiversity loss. I was particularly struck by a comment, or by the positive note that Peter Thompson, the UN ambassador for the oceans, had for the ocean community, And Atsushi Tsunami also mentioned this as well, that 2022 could be the super year for the ocean. We had thought 2020 would be that, but we have unfortunately missed that due to the pandemic. But that really 2022 offered so many opportunities for us to roll back or begin to roll back the declining health of the ocean. And Atsushi mentioned a number of these, of course. We've just heard the news that the United Nations Environment Assembly has voted to begin negotiations on a global plastics treaty. I think that's an enormously important step, both as a signal generally for environmental change, but also particularly for plastics and pollution. We've heard also that the BBNJ negotiations are going away, that the COP15 negotiations are going to be focusing in part around this question of 30 by 30, protecting 30% of the land and the ocean. We're waiting, of course, for news around the stalled fisheries subsidies negotiations, and we're hoping that that will come to fruition too. And of course, there is a really key moment in the middle of the year with the UN Ocean Conference. And I think it's really important to remind ourselves too that it is global ocean events like our ocean conference, like the One Ocean Conference that President Macron held, and indeed, I hope, like our own conference, World Ocean Summit, that really are the essential threads that hold together this wider global ocean dialogue, particularly on climate and on the blue economy agenda. And I think ever since our ocean began, as Gwen was saying, in 2014, it's been a focal point for the global ocean community, and particularly it has helped to join the dots and provide cohesion to those that really want to make commitments, that don't just want to talk about policy, but want to actually make commitments, financial and other commitments to protecting and restoring the health of the ocean. And that, I think, momentum that events like the global Our Ocean provide, I think, really cannot be underestimated. And we, of course, at The Economist have had a long history of collaboration with Our Ocean. And I'm absolutely convinced that the focus of this year's events, as mentioned both by President Whips and by Gwyn, the focus around marine protected areas, around pollution, and I might just say that we ourselves is part of our partnership with Back to Blue, with the Nippon Foundation, have recently launched a major new report on chemical pollution in the ocean, which I urge you to read. It's on our backtoblueinitiative.com. But pollution, ocean-based solutions to climate change, which I think are really fundamental to the discussions at Our Ocean, and importantly, discussions around the blue economy, I think, each I hope, strike at sort of the most pressing and defining issues that the ocean faces. And climate, of course, and before I just mention very briefly the blue economy, I think, let me just have a brief word about climate, because I think at COP22 for the ocean, we had both good and bad messages. And I think ultimately it proved to be a disappointing COP26 in our view at The Economist, due to the lack of really considerable decarbonization commitments. But there were other positives, I think, and I want to thank President Surengo Whips in part because our editor-in-chief, Zanny Minton-Beddoes, as he will recall, had the honor and pleasure of hosting President Whips at COP26 in what I thought was a wide-ranging discussion on the climate challenges that are facing small island developing states, particularly. And in particular, the sense that climate actions and commitments globally, particularly by developed countries, were falling well behind what is needed to flatten the curve, as President Whips was saying earlier, to 1.5 degrees C and reduce the risks to small island developing states. But I think the one bright moment that we heard at COP26, and I believe, I certainly know that Palau has been, sort of played an instrumental role in achieving this, has been the bringing of the ocean more formally into the COP process. And I think this recognizes two things that the ocean is critical for. That's one, its role as a carbon sink, as a key carbon sink, and And I think secondly is its potential for solutions to climate change. And I certainly do hope that over the course of the next 6 months to 9 months, as we start to talk about COP27 in Egypt, that building oceans into nationally determined contributions and into the broader discussion, and particularly issues that are left out at the moment, like ocean acidification, really is going to be an important focus for us. And I hope that at our ocean, we can begin to focus ourselves on some of those important discussions. Just finally, and one other key question that was raised by both President Whips and by the Minister for Fisheries, and so the question of what the blue economy will look like and how to develop blue economies in a sustainable way, and in particular, what that means for small island developing states. I really do hope that that discussion becomes a very important focal point for the Our Ocean event. And I think it's fair to say that, by and large, most countries, despite the many noises that they're making around the blue economy, I think, and we think at The Economists, continue to develop their ocean economies as if, in some ways, as if in the ocean had no limits really for absorbing the impacts of human activities. As we know, overfishing remains rife. The industrialization of the ocean continues inexorably. Pollution rises and increases, and unsustainable tourism and a whole host of other sort of challenges continue to make it very difficult to see the transition towards a more sustainable ocean. At Economist Impact, with the help of the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, and in consultation with Palau, we are now in the early stages of developing a pilot phase of a new blue economy index. And we hope that this index would measure, we plan for this index to measure, should I say, the commitment or the efforts made by countries to develop sustainable ocean economies. And that is to make, in a sense, make their economies more blue. And the hope is that this index will serve as a reference tool for policymakers and other stakeholders to sort of identify gaps in progress towards, in the transition towards a more sustainable ocean economy, and offer, I hope, some means of assessing progress over time. And we look forward to presenting some of that work at Our Ocean in April. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles Goddard, Chief Editor, Asia Pacific Bureau, The Economist, for sharing your views. And we really appreciate your reference to the importance of integrating national determined contributions, ocean-related actions into the national determined contributions. We see these linkages between climate and ocean. We also thank you for your strong word about your efforts, our joint efforts to develop Blue Economy Index that will be a basis to measures and promote the policy, institutional, and social collaborations towards sustainable blue economy, sustainable ocean economy. May I now invite Mr. Yasuo Suzuki, General Manager, Corporate Marketing Division, Mitsui OSK Lines, to share with us your perspectives for the forthcoming Our Ocean Conference. May I invite Mr. Suzuki to take the floor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and good evening, and good morning, everybody. So, different from other speakers, I want to use some PowerPoint material. Could you show my PowerPoint? Okay, thank you. My name is Yasuo Suzuki from Mitsui OSK Lines, General Manager, Corporate Marketing Division. Thank you very much for giving us such a good opportunity. I hope today's presentation will deepen your understanding of the potential of ocean renewable energy. Next, please. Here is the agenda of today. Firstly, we are going to explain why we pay attention to the ocean renewable energy. Secondly, we will focus on one of the ocean renewable energies, wave power. Through our initiatives for wave power generation, I hope you will get some idea which can be applied to your company, country. Next, please. Let's start from a potential of ocean renewable energy. Many people is now paying attention to renewable energy as an environmental destruction caused by climate change becomes more serious. And energy price is gradually higher and higher. Renewable energy is attracting more attention than ever before. And renewable energy sources such as solar power, wind power, biomass, etc. are widespread. Now among these, ocean renewable is a hot topic and its potential attracts many people these days. It is known that there are 5 sources of ocean renewable energy in general: offshore, wave power, tidal power, ocean current power, and ocean thermal energy conversion. In general, these ocean renewable energy is said as a stable energy. The source of power is located in the ocean and no limit as source. And if it is placed in the right place, it can basically generate electricity stably regardless of season or day. Even through ocean renewable energy, it's not broadly commercialized yet. It has a possibility to be one of the main sources of energy in the future. Next, please. From this page, we are going to show you the outline of power, wave power generation under our initiatives. About wave power generation system, the cell module called M-Wave, designed by Bombola Wave Power, who is our partner, is placed under the sea surface, and wave pressure causes a flexible rubber membrane to pump air pressure and generating electricity by airflow. These systems make it possible to generate power in 24 hours with a strong resilience to the tough environment in the sea. Here you can see a video which helps you to understand the system. Could you start the video?
Out to sea, safely beneath the ocean's waves, sits M-Wave. Bombora's pioneering patented technology harnesses the abundant power of the oceans to generate megawatts of clean, renewable energy. A series of air-inflated, flexible rubber cells, each 15 meters in length, are mounted to a concrete foundation structure arranged to optimize energy capture. As waves pass overhead, the underwater pressure increases. M-Wave's rubber membranes are compressed sequentially, forcing air inside the cells into a central duct. Valves deliver a one-way airflow to the turbine, directly spinning a generator, converting this rotation into electricity. After passing through the turbine, the air is recycled to reinflate each membrane in a continuous sequence. The sustainable power generated by M-Wave is transferred to the electrical grid via a sub-sea cable. M-Wave's simple and modular design, with removable component parts, makes it efficient to operate and maintain. Its modularity makes it rapidly scalable and adaptable to both nearshore and offshore environments.
Okay, there are one more idea about wave power generation, which is a combination of wave and wind. The system is called Inspire. A suitable site for wave power generation is highly compatible with a suitable site for offshore wind power generation. because stable wind conditions are expected. By combining the two kinds of powers, we can expect 50% more of power generation and 20% of cost reduction compared to the individual system. Next, please. In this slide, we explain the current status of our strategy, what we are doing now, and what is our target. Up to 2025, we and our partner Bombola is going to move forward the demonstration project. Once demonstration is succeeded, then we gradually shift our emphasis to the commercial project. From 2026, we hope that we can finish all test project and officially begin a business project. Next, please. Here we are going to show you how we will proceed for commercialization. Our current status is in development phase. Currently, no concrete business project, but proceeding main demonstration. But since wave power generation system has a strong points such as stability, resilience, and connectivity, we think that there is a great opportunity to become the main source of power in the future. With considering these strong points, as well as challenges shown in the right page, we are going to move forward to be a top runner of wave power generation with Bombola. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention, and please feel free to contact us if you are interested. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Suzuki, for sharing your private sector's initiatives in pursuing the ocean-based solutions to climate change. We found your wave generation technology particularly interesting, as well as one that combines wind and wave energy as well. We will probably get back to you about this matter as well. Next, I have a pleasure to introduce Dr. Hide Sakaguchi, President, Ocean Policy Research Institute of the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, who is directing our programs on ocean policy research and the policy dialogues. May I invite now the Dr. Sakaguchi to take the floor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Masanori. My name is Hide Sakaguchi, again, the President of Ocean Policy Research Institute and the Sasakawa Peace Foundation. At the outset, I'd like to reiterate our appreciation to you all for joining us today from Japan, as well as the Republic of Palau, United States of America, and probably all around the world, particularly Asia and the Pacific countries. Today, President Whips and Minister Victor both underlined the priority ocean policy agenda for forthcoming our ocean conference. Here, I'd like to supplement some of the key issues that we consider vital to promote our concerted actions toward achieving a sustainable ocean. As we all are aware of, Pacific Islands are important guardians of our ocean. The ocean space that they strive to manage is far greater compared to their land, population, and economy. To promote the conservation and sustainable management of the ocean and marine resources, it is indispensable to promote regional and international collaboration and partnership. Again, we must reaffirm that we are united and aligned to promote concerted actions to safeguard our ocean in our region and in the whole world. The policy and the institutional framework needs to be further strengthened to achieve such policy goals. Here, we must reiterate to the vulnerability of Pacific Island countries to marine environmental degradation, climate change, and its long-term impacts. For example, typhoon hit Palau several times last year. Due to the increased wind velocity and rainfalls, Palau suffered from landslide and inundation that damage houses and infrastructure. Many boats were wrecked on the shore, but some of them do not actually belong to Palau. Typhoon also devastate corals that were important attractions for the blue tourism and also for marine biodiversity. Coral reef bleaching also takes place critically and cyclically, and it is not only damage corals, but also the increased frequency of bleaching makes coral recovery more and more difficult. The FAO warned that as seawater temperature rises, fish biomass may be more unevenly distributed, and more there can be a reduction in migratory fish stock in tropical Western Pacific. In that sense, small island countries are thus increasingly susceptible to climate change impact, that we must overcome such challenges through effective mitigation and adaptation measures with increased partnership. That is a very important point. And there is another serious problem. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing not only deplete fish stock and undermine fishery sustainability, but it is also harbors crimes and human and labor violations. The elimination of IUU fishing is utmost important to ensure a sustainable, safe, secured ocean. We need to encourage those countries that haven't acceded to the Port State Measures Agreement to do so as soon as possible. We need to use various monitoring, surveillance, and enforcement measures, including maritime and aerial surveillance, satellite data, port state measures, and catch documentation schemes, and other market measures. In this context, the Nippon Foundation support Palau, Federated States of Micronesia, and the Republic of Marshall Islands to strengthen the capacity for maritime surveillance. The year 2022 is the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture. We must find a model that fits the varying conditions of island countries and communities to promote sustainable fisheries and aquaculture and sustainable livelihood. I would like to add one more note. That is the problem of marine plastic. It was encouraging that the international community reaffirmed a clear assertion of the commitment to eliminate marine plastics by adopting a resolution to establish an intergovernmental negotiating committee to develop an international agreement. We find plastic trash on the shore of the Pacific Island countries coming from overseas. Plastic gyres in the Pacific area are also a grave concern. The Coral State in Palau has a clean center that promotes recycling of grass and plastic materials and composting of organic waste. That provides a useful model, and we have to find solutions to resolve plastic and other waste, to protect the ocean, and promote sustainability in island countries and the community. At last, I'd like to give you our commitment that the Ocean Policy Research Institute and the Sasaka Peace Foundation continues to work with our partners, particularly in Palau and the Pacific Island countries, and strives to promote actions towards a sustainable ocean and blue economies. We value and promote science policy stakeholder interface, innovations, multi-stakeholder collaborations, and international partnership for sustainable ocean. I'm very much looking forward to further discussions at our Ocean Conference in Palau and developing partnership with you all for a sustainable ocean. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hide Sakaguchi, for your remarks on. Thank you very much, Dr. Hide Sakaguchi, for your remarks on the OPRI's supports to the Ocean Conference and our research work towards achieving a sustainable ocean. We have listened to all the panelists. I was reminded that there's a representative from the Australian government, but at the same time, I was just indicated that President Whips also have other comparing engagement. I just wondered if we can first listen to President Whips to get his feedback to the points raised by various panelists, and we continue our discussions. Maybe we see if Dr. Pavel, Dave Pavel, Assistant Secretary, Pacific Strategy Branch, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Australia, who may be able to share his views as well. But may I now invite President Whips to give us your feedbacks?
Thank you, Masanori-san, and it's important that we reflect on the very fruitful discussions that we've had. I think, may I use the term inspire? I'm inspired by the conversations and the new initiatives and the ideas that have been put forward about solving the challenges that we have. I'm excited about the fact that you all are coming to Palau and that we can further promote and show the strength of the partnership and how we can tackle these problems together. Most importantly, in dealing with IUU, Australia, the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, Nippon Foundation have been a strong partner, and along with the United States government in helping us tackle that. Dealing with how we sustainably use those resources. That's where it's important that our partners continue to help us in planning that and using science to make the best decisions. I just wanted to share just recently on Sunday, I went out on a boat with people to snorkel. And during that time, I saw a lot of plastic in the water. And unfortunately, the plastic that I saw in the water did not originate in Palau. It came from around the region, because unfortunately Palau's currents come from 3 different directions, and they converge here. And I highlight that because really the decisions that we make locally impact us regionally and globally. And it's important for us in tackling these issues. We cannot just say, Palau, we're going to conserve this, we're going to do this, and that's going to make an impact. It's going to require of us, all of us, collaborating together. So, I appreciate the support of the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, the Nippon Foundation, OPRI, United States government, Australia, and all of you in helping us prepare for this conference. Because I too agree that this is a monumental year for our oceans, and hopefully an opportunity for us to really turn the boat around and get us going in the right direction in tackling the issues of climate change, which are already destroying us, and which I had opportunity at Glasgow to say that you might as well bomb us, because the impacts that we're facing today is just torture, and you might as well just end it now. But these initiatives, these ideas, and being able to come to our oceans and share and make commitments to move these initiatives forward gives us hope and gives our children hope. And I think that's what's most important. And so I look forward to meeting you all and continuing to push these initiatives forward. Thank you, and see you in Palau.
Thank you very much, President Saranger Whips, for sharing your personal experiences, also to underline the importance of our concerted actions, collaborative actions to eliminate marine plastics and achieve sustainable ocean. Before we ask Minister Stephen Bixter to give us his feedback, may I invite Dr. Dave Pavel, Assistant Secretary, Pacific Strategy Branch, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the Government of Australia, to share with us your perspectives for the Ocean Conference and regional cooperation that we've been discussing throughout this session. Dr. Dave Pavels, please take a floor.
Thank you very much, and may I say what a great pleasure it is to have this opportunity to speak with you, particularly following the President's, as he says, very inspiring comments about the work ahead of us and what we want to achieve out of the conference. We will meet in just a few short weeks. We think the conference will be very important for providing a space for us all to come together to share our commitments. And as the President has said, none of us can do this on our own. So we really do need to look regionally and globally for solutions to the problems before us. Marine plastics, illegal and unreported and unregulated fishing, the impacts of climate change, none of us are on our own with these issues. So we're pleased to be working with our Pacific friends and others friends around the world on some of these issues. Some of the important projects that we're working on at the moment include the Pacific Ocean Litter Project, which is helping to look at this very important issue of single-use plastics. We're also working with the Pacific Community and Forum Fisheries Agency to support Pacific Island countries to sustainably manage tuna and coastal fisheries resources, and they're crucial for both economic growth and food security. We continue to work with Pacific Island countries to on this very important issue of dealing with oil spills and the legacy that they can leave. And together with New Zealand, we also support the Pacific Islands Forum's Office of the Pacific Ocean Commissioner. We've been really pleased to support Palau as we can with the conference. We think this is really a watershed moment for the region and for the focus on oceans, which will be critical to, already critical to all our livelihoods, but really that will be determine a lot of the future of the region, how well we manage our stewardship of the oceans, and also that climate change oceans nexus. So thank you very much to the organisers. Thank you very much to Palau as host, and look forward to seeing you all in a few short weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dave Pavel, Assistant Secretary, Pacific Strategy Branch, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the Government of Australia, for sharing your views. And it was very encouraging that Australia continue to support regional actions on marine plastic eliminations, sustainable fisheries, marine environment protections, and the operation of the Pacific Ocean Commissioner. Now, may I invite Minister Stephen Victor to give us your feedback and reactions. Minister Victor, please take the floor.
The long-standing stewardship of the Pacific people and the ocean, and also recognizing that many of the challenges and problems that we faced as islanders on the ocean are not so much of our own making. So it's great to see that recognition and commitment to supporting the Pacific Islanders and governments address this problem. And as we've mentioned, that we cannot do it alone. I speak on the part of Palau that while we do recognize that many of these challenges are not of our making and we cannot address them alone, we have not stood on the sideline and sort of continued to sort of point the finger at those who've created the problem, but have been more willing as stewards of our islands and the ocean to do our part by making underground commitment and action, as well as global commitment, and particularly our effort to continue to build a partnership within the region to address these challenges, as well as build a partnership with our non-government as well as government partners from across the globe to help us realize some of these actions and commitment that we've made underground. And so I particularly am very inspired to hear the economist working with the Nippon Foundation on the Blue Economy Index. I think that will be quite an important sort of aspect of ocean solution that we would like to learn a little bit more, and particularly figure out what are the key enabling policy environment that need to be put in place that will facilitate the blue economy, as well as achieving that index that will be developed. And so I'm particularly interested to learn a bit more about that. And with that, thank you, Masanori.
Okay, thank you, Minister Victor, for your reactions. I have been seeing some of the questions coming from the audience, but at the same time, we are a bit running out of the time. There is questions and whether there will be a program scheduled for our ocean conference. I understand that government of Palau is preparing the more specific programs for our ocean conference that will be posted on our ocean conference website shortly. There's also a question about this regional cooperation that Dr. De Pablo highlighted from the Australian perspectives, but there's a question about Japan's and the US approaches to promote regional cooperation. I just wondered if Mr. Sato and also Dr. Talaska has anything to add on their support to the regional cooperation in this issue. I wonder if Mr. Sato can share his views on this, to be followed by Dr. Talaska.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I may have missed the part of the question addressed to me, but could you repeat it again? Is it about?
Is suggestions to seek elaboration about Japan's approaches to support regional cooperation. I understand maybe the Pacific Island countries for sustainable ocean.
Thank you very much for the question. And as many participants indicate in this event, the Pacific Ocean is vast, and Japan is part of it. And not only Pacific Islanders, but also surrounding nations, coastal countries need to play their part to ensure to work toward sustainable ocean in the future. So one way of doing that is that the promoting collaboration among like-minded countries, as I indicated, like the United States and Japan are now promoting, and other countries in the region are promoting this free and open Indo-Pacific vision, and which is basically promoting a rule-based community in this important future promising region of Indo-Pacific. So I can think of a few examples offhand. One is the trilateral financial collaboration by Japan, United States, and Australia to improve seabed cable network. These islands are very remotely located from the mass of the continent, so it is important to improve the infrastructure, telecommunication infrastructure, and also as we discussed, there is another example of energy cooperation. I think it was being implemented in PNG, and these are kind of collaboration by like-minded countries to promote a sustainable economy in the ocean economy in this Indo-Pacific region. And we will be willing to share our experiences with our partners, how we are trying to promote this, to make sure that this region is going to be sustainable for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sato, for the regional cooperation, referring to the example of communication technologies and the energy sector as well. Can I invite Dr. Taraska to make some supplementary remarks?
Thank you. I'm happy to make a couple supplementary remarks. So yes, Pacific partnerships have played really a key role in U.S. climate diplomacy. At the COP, for example, we have worked with the Republic of the Marshall Islands on the Clydebank Declaration to establish green shipping corridors, on the zero-emission shipping declaration by 2050, just to take a couple examples. We've been very excited to be able to support also the Local 2030 Islands Network to support communities of practice and technical assistance for island-led solutions to sustainable development challenges, and just very much looking forward to continuing this tradition of Pacific partnerships as we head into the Our Ocean Conference. The U.S. interagency has been extremely engaged in coming forward with commitments around ocean health and security to announce at the conference. I had mentioned before sort of the international commitments that we're looking to tee up, but the U.S. itself also has just been extremely engaged across all of our agencies, and very much looking forward to seeing those announced in April. And just sort of a general point to close with, just very exciting to see all of the alignment here this afternoon, as so many of the speakers have mentioned plastic pollution, they've mentioned Port State Measures Agreement, they've mentioned offshore renewable energy and wave energy, etc. So looking forward to working with all of you in April and to the regional collaborations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gwyn Tarascas, for your supplementary remarks. We also have a few more questions, and I also noted the comment made by Minister Victor about Sustainable Blue Economy Index. But I think we can continue our discussions about these issues. And as we have now come to the time to wrap up, please indulge me to conclude these panel discussions, and we will share further perspectives through our website and other channels. And I thank you for your vibrant participation and contributions to these discussions. With this, I'd like to turn over the floor to the MC for this event.
Distinguished speakers and panelists, thank you very much. Now, Dr. Hide Sakaguchi, President of Ocean Policy Research Institute of Sasakawa Peace Foundation, delivers a closing remark.
For contributing to the very, very rich discussions on the tasks that are ahead of us to the forthcoming Our Ocean Conference in Palau next month. Specifically, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to His Excellency President Surangao Whips Jr. of Palau for reinforcing our partnership and articulating the priority